What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Talking Ball. And today we are looking at VJ Edgecombe, the wing from Baylor. Edgecombe is one of the more athletic and talented players in this year's NBA draft. He is 19. He'll be almost 20 by the time the draft takes place. He's a freshman. He's listed at 6'5", 180 pounds. And the first thing for me with Edgecombe is offensively he's a very versatile player. He started off the year not shooting the three ball well, and by the end of the year, he was a really good three-point shooter. He's at his best, though, I would say, attacking the basket. He's really athletic. He just has another gear that most guys can't get to speed-wise, and he's able to get to the rim in a blur. It is really hard to stay in front of VJ Edgecombe as a defensive player. And he also, this is something that I think a lot of guys nowadays aren't great at, but I think VJ is pretty damn good. He moves well without the ball, and I think that's a real skill. I don't think people evaluate or give credit to that skill as much as they should. And on a team where I felt like the roster construction around him at Baylor wasn't spectacular. There's a lot of other guards. He had to play the 3 and the 4 at times effectively. You know, he did a good job of getting himself involved offensively. And let's just go to the stats right now. Typically, I'd go a little bit later, but let's pull them up right now. So VJ averaged 15 points a game. He shot 44% from the field, 34% from 3, and about 78% from the free throw line. So pretty good efficiency for VJ. 5.6 rebounds. He's a really good rebounding wing. 3 assists, 2 steals, and over half a block, and only 2 turnovers. So about a 1.5, 1.6 assist to turnover ratio. Now the one thing I want to show you guys is that in conference play, VJ's shooting got much better. As you can see, 39% from 3 and 82% from the free throw line. So that's what I was talking about earlier in terms of his scoring, his efficiency, his shooting got better as the year went on. 17 points a game in conference play. So a guy like VJ, the offense really isn't a question to me. And defensively, he's a tremendous playmaker. What he's able to do with reading passing lanes and then at times picking the pocket of the opposing ball handler. He has a knack also for when the other team gets a rebound for poking the ball free and for the most part not getting called with fouls. And he does a really good job of being a weak side shot blocker. Now in that one, that was on ball, but most of the time for what I've seen, it's more off the ball where he's coming over and blocking shots. Lastly, on the positive sides here for VJ, I felt like, his performance in Bahamas, we got to really give that a lot of credit because that was going up against grown men. And he did more than hold his own. He was one of the best players in that Bahamas team, which featured other NBA players like DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield and even the elder statesman Eric Gordon. So for me, there's a couple of question marks for me in terms of VJ Edgecombe. I think he's a really talented player. Before I say this, I want to preface by saying I have him 4th on my draft board right now. So these are some areas of weakness, but I'm not super concerned about them is what I guess I'm trying to get at here. So offensively, there are stretches, and I think some of this was the roster construction, but some of this is he's just not as assertive and aggressive as you'd like him to be with his ability both on and off the ball offensively. He can just kind of blend in for long stretches of the game. 5-6 minutes, you may not notice him. Then he'll get his points in bunches, sure, but there are moments of the game where you just don't notice his presence on the court. And some of that is I feel like he could play with a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more tenacity. Now, defensively, and this I think was more apparent in this game against Duke than it was in other games for VJ. Yes, off the ball, even in this game against Duke, tremendous. getting steals, being a pest in the passing lanes, having that ability to affect the game off the ball. But on the ball, in this game against Duke, now it's a little bit of an outlier, but at the same time, I think you got to give it a little bit of weight because that Duke starting five, everyone's going to play in the NBA. They've got NBA size across the board, and his on-ball defense really suffered in this game. He was beat off the dribble a few times. His lack of size. He's listed at 6'5". He's probably 6'4". He's 180 pounds. Was used against him at times, whether it was Cooper Flagg or Con Knipple using their size to score either through him or over him. And it just, to me, it could be a Behringer of him having some difficulty at the next level on the ball against bigger players. Now, off the ball, I think he's going to be just fine as a guy who can get into the passing lanes, create steals, generate deflections. I don't think that's going to change with his athletic ability. But what I do think could be an issue is his ability to guard on an island against bigger players because he is only 6'4", 180 pounds. Yes, he could get stronger, and I think that will help, and I think that will happen. So it's not something where I'm super concerned, but at the same time, it is an area of his game where I have to zag, where I see a lot of other people saying he's going to be a great on-ball defender, and that is one area where I'm not quite as confident in his game. I think he'll be good at guarding opposing guards, but at the same time, Josh Hubbard from Mississippi State, who is a very quick, small guard, was able to beat him off the dribble a few times in that game as well. So there are like the 6'3", 6'4" guards that think he'll be just fine at guarding individually, but it's the bigger players and the there's not many of them, but the smaller, shiftier players that I think are going to give him trouble on the defensive end. I think VJ Edgecombe is going to be a top 5 pick, though. I think his offensive game, I think he's a number 2, number 3 option with his floor, and I think he has the ceiling to be a number 1 option because of his ability as a tertiary playmaker. You know, contrasting him with a guy like Ace Bailey, who I think they're in a similar boat in terms of being the first wing off the board. VJ has shown much more of an ability to play make and pass to his teammates, albeit in more of a within the offense sense, but just much better. And that says to me there is potential to be a number 1 option. So please like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think about VJ in the comments below. Until next time, peace.